How are you? All right. I guess guys probably has touched the chair here.
All right.
Good morning. Please be seated. Here is a matter of City of Keene versus James Cleveland et al. If I could have counsel identify themselves for the record.
There's no chairs, so
Charles
they have to stay
Bauer
outside.
from
No
Gallagher,
chair.
Callahan,
No, stay outside.
Gartrell.
And take off your hat if you're in here, but stay outside right now.
No chair. Full courthouse.
It is, yep. Just stay outside in the lobby.
Holy drawer, here, the city attorney.
Do that now or I'll get a deputy. Okay.
Just want to, I support the Free Staters. That's all I want people to know.
Okay.
Kay Ager, Ian Freeman, and Graham Colson. And Mr. Ayer, do you want me to stand up and identify yourself?
Sir, if you stand and identify yourself for the record. You don't have to stand. But if you
Yeah,
want
my
to
name's
identify
Pete Ayer.
yourself.
My name is
Sorry?
Pete Ayer. I'm here. I was told to be here, so I don't know why, but I'm here.
We're scheduled for an evidentiary hearing on the city's request for preliminary injunctive relief. And after we have the evidentiary hearing, I will hopefully, time permitting, and if we don't, we'll schedule additional time. I'll allow both sides time to argue some of the legal issues that are pending before the court. Is the city prepared to call its first witness?
Yes. Follow stand, Linda Ducereau. Just raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Please be seated. For the record, please state and spell your last name.
My last name is pronounced Russo. It's spelled D-E-S-R-U-I-S-S-E-A-U-S.
Okay. How long have you been working for the city of Keene?
13 and a half years, a little over 13 and a half years.
Do you live in Keene?
I do not live in the city of Keene.
Your business address is what? In the city of Keene.
The station is 400 Marlborough Street.
What's your educational background?
High school diploma and some college.
What other type of work background have you had prior to working for the city? Just generically.
Previously I worked way back retail for several years. More than several years. Probably about 20 years all told.
You've been working for the city for about 13 years, and what do you do for the city? What capacity?
I work in the parking department as an enforcement officer.
And what are your duties and responsibilities then over the last 13 years?
Basically patrolling the area for any violations in parking, try to keep things from getting confusing, that type of stuff.
What's the geographical area that you cover?
The
For work.
city limits.
I have a map here. This is a map of the city in terms of the parking enforcement.
Hey, Meyer, if you need to stand to see anything, you're certainly free to move around so you can see this.
Okay, just indicating with your finger on the map. And this is the downtown parking map for the record. And then there's some unmetered 2-hour parking as well. And there's that.
Wrapped up here, Washington Court Street, right here in Summer.
Okay, with it here.
Yes. Okay. Man, if you just try to
Speak
raise
up
your
a
voice,
little, okay.
I can hear you.
You do it on foot, you do it on bicycle, how do you get around?
Foot. It's usually on foot. We don't use bicycles or any other segways or anything.
Are there any motor vehicles that you ever use?
Yes, we do.
Describe that for the judge, please.
We have 2 vehicles that we use. They're Ford Transit. They're a type of vehicle that we can use to move things such as metering equipment, different things we need. We have room.
Do you like your job?
I do.
You've been working for 13 years. Do you consider this a Do you work full-time, part-time?
Full-time.
And approximately what are the hours?
I work Monday through Friday now, 7:30 to 3:30. That's been different over the years, but currently that's what I do.
Okay. And are you an hourly employee?
Yes,
And what do you make per hour?
$20.
And are you also a union employee?
Yes.
You remember which union?
The AFT.
How long have you been a member of the union?
Since 2006.
So as an employee for the city of Keene, you have a contractual relationship with the city of Keene to do your job and you get paid, right? And you're also a union employee. You have certain benefits and rights there. What other benefits and rights do you get from the city of Keene besides getting paid for doing your job properly?
As far as like medical benefits?
Your Honor, objection relevance.
Establishing the employment relationship, Judge.
Wait, there is an employment relationship. It's already been testified to. If we had been asked, I would have acknowledged the employment relationship. We don't see what the benefit she receives or doesn't receive have to do with any of the disputed issues in this case.
Describe your interactions with the citizens, with out-of-state people in your position as parking enforcement officer.
Just a typical day?
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same day to day before that. I mean, you occasionally get people that who are upset, but you had the opportunity to talk to them and discuss it. I would say that if that happened, it was probably on a scale of maybe once a week, or maybe not at all in a week. It was very random and not a lot. So sometimes it could be very tedious because your job is walking a lot and covering the same area. So
In general, before December of this year, have you been happy with your job?
oh yeah,
Have your interactions with merchants, do you have interactions with merchants on a regular basis?
oh sure, yeah,
Do you have interactions with out-of-staters on a regular basis?
always, yeah.
I have a job description that's attached to the petition, Your Honor. And there's a number of duties and responsibilities. Take a look at that if you would. But are you essentially an ambassador for the city?
Yes, and
Your
I
Honor, objection leading.
Sustained.
Have you give the court an understanding of whether your day is before December an upbeat day? Has it been generally productive for you and satisfying?
before December, yes.
Describe for the court the various types of parking meters that you have to take a look at. And I have some photographs that assist. And this photograph shows the double meter here taking place, or taking care of both sides of the meter.
That's right.
Okay. And the distance between the angled spaces is 10 feet, isn't it?
Right.
And so every 20 feet, there's a meter.
Right.
Okay. How many other parking enforcement officers are out there on the street with you?
Now, one other.
One other. How many have there been from, say, December of this year?
December of this year, there's been two others.
Okay.
December of last year.
I'm sorry, December of last year. Yes. What do you wear to do your job?
We have uniforms in the winter. Of course, they're long pants, PU type pants, because we have a lot to carry. Turtlenecks, fleeces, over jackets, our uniform. In the summer, it's normally shorts, polo shirt, with insignias for the city on the shirts.
So is it fair to say that you're on your own out there?
Yes.
And You don't go to one particular area of A Street and then do B Street and then do C
We
Street?
don't have a set routine. It's totally random.
That may come as a surprise to a lot of us. We always thought meter people were, 10 minutes after the meter was expired that they would be back. Is that the case or not?
Yeah, like I said, I think there might be a bigger area that other cities, but I think considering the size of Keene and the area we're talking about per that map, that just wouldn't be practical.
In other words, if Jane and you were working together, are you working in tandem? In other words, you're in one area, she's in another, or are you just sort of sporadic? Or
It's not planned at all. It's just we cross paths. Yes, that happens. But no, you don't. She's not on the east side and I'm on the west side or north or south. Nothing like that.
Once you go to a street, though, as depicted on these photographs, once you go to a set of parking meters, what do you do then?
You complete the whole street. It's the same with the lots as well. The lots too.
So while there's randomness in terms of where you're going throughout the city, once you get to a particular area, you do all those meters.
Correct.
Why?
Why?
From your perspective, is there a fairness once you hit one meter or check one meter to check them all to make sure that whether they're expired or not?
Yeah, actually, yes, it is fair.
And is there? How about chalking? Do you do chalks on tires?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
Yeah, we have two hour signed areas that I pointed out earlier on the sign, and we'll go through and chalk an area. Again, we can't really walk all over each other in this case, and chalk the tires, and 2 hours, 10, 15 minutes later, we come back to check if the chalks are still there.
So some of us work behind a desk. That's our workspace. Some of us work out in the field, a job environment. That's their workspace. And your workspace is the downtown area, exhibit 1.
The pavement, yeah.
I'm going to allow that.
Otherwise, as we said, you're expected to be in that area, doing your job.
Right. In the city of Keene, that's what our jurisdiction is, whether it be the meters downtown or their surrounding streets. Those are the areas that we occasionally do get called to go to. So it's not just walking Main Street.
Have you ever encountered somebody who's been disgruntled about a ticket that you might have given, or that Jane might have given, or that Alan might have given? Have you ever come across it?
Oh, yes.
Tell us how often that occurs.
I think I mentioned it.
On a monthly basis
On
or
a
a
monthly
weekly basis?
quite honestly, maybe 2 or 3 times
2 or 3 times
a month.
a month? And if you can, describe what kind of an encounter that is.
Disagreement basically about why they're getting the ticket, and how we came up with it, how did we do this, that type of thing.
Is it usually civil?
People do get angry, that's true, but I mean, for the most part, it's not anything beyond what any of us can talk to people and try to come to an understanding.
And can you direct those people to your supervisors
Yeah.
or the court?
Yes, if we can't, if the argument can't be solved, then I certainly do.
And, generically, how long does such an encounter, has such an encounter occurred?
Oh, probably 5 or 10 minutes.
And after that, it's
It's
dissipated?
either solved or they're gonna, go and talk to my supervisor.
Now, what happened in December of last year with regard to the defendants, the 6 defendants in the courtroom? Generically, what happened?
What happened basically is that some of these individuals would start following us around. whether videotaping or not, talking to us on a regular basis initially, at least that was my experience. Trying to, basically, I kind of figured out was trying to just, you know, stop me from doing what I was doing. And it just continued on a daily basis. And it hasn't let up.
Have you experienced these people, these defendants, doing these things to you on an everyday basis?
Yeah, on an everyday basis, yeah.
From your perspective, Lynn, since December, the lawsuit was filed in May. So from December through May, did the defendants stop doing what they were doing to you?
No.
Did you ask them?
Yes.
Describe for the court how you would ask them.
I would ask them to please not speak to me and please stay away from me.
I would request you, we're giving you 6 named defendants, and there's an issue simply with respect to each named individual. So I would ask that the witnesses be asked to address which defendants you're referring to.
I will get to that, Judge.
I think it's a fair request. And
No, I understand.
there are 6 named people here, and I'm hoping that you'll get to the specific allegations involving each of them.
I certainly will, Judge. I'm just doing generic questions right now. So,
If I could speak up, I'm pro se. I mean,
Do you have an objection?
I would just reinforce what Mr. Myers just communicated. I take offense to the accusations that I've been involved in any behavior that's harassing. You know, being collectivized is one thing, but just to make these attacks against me as a person when I've never done anything, I'd like for her to be specific and not make these overarching statements.
And the point was made by Attorney Meyer. I think it's a fair point, and I take it Attorney Bauer is going to direct the question to be more specific.
I will, Judge. We'll get to each defendant in time here, but I want to sort of just get an overview of the...
Is it worth my time to stay here then? Do I have to listen to this?
If you're going to speak and if you have a specific response, you'll have to stand and address the court. Attorney Bauer, and it's a problem that I have. It's just that the use of the word "them" is very broad, and you've used it a couple of times, and I think it would be helpful to me to really have greater specificity about who is being referred to in the them. You have it. The witness hasn't identified any of the individuals yet.
So then, with regard to encounters with you, you said that these have occurred every day? And I was just trying to establish that since from December until the lawsuit was filed, did the encounters decrease or increase from your perspective?
They decreased somewhat, but it was the same actions and behavior.
And then from May, when the lawsuit was filed, until, I guess, yesterday or the day before, from your perspective, has there been an escalation or a de-escalation, or has it been the same?
I would say that it's been a mixture of both at different times. It's always been on a regular basis, but the actions have been sometimes more pronounced than other days, but basically.
And you work when, which days?
Monday through Friday.
And from your perspective, then, has there been among the defendants, and we'll get to the individual defendants in a second, but in between the defendants, has there been any type of organization or scheduling from your perspective?
Concerning them?
Yes.
Oh yes, they carry radios that they can tell each other where we are from time to time. Phones, other than that, yes.
Give us some examples of that. give us some examples of what you've observed in terms of coordination or scheduling or organization among the defendants.
Well, I mean, I could be down in a parking lot up at Gilboa Ave and be by myself, and then have somebody on a telephone and one of the defendants would show up. The same, I could be on the street by myself and one of them would see me and then they get on their own two-way radios and then a few of them would show up.
Have there been occasions when you've been walking and one individual defendant is following you and then another one shows up?
Yes.
How many times, or excuse me, how many defendants have been around you when you're trying to do your job?
How many defendants or how many creatures?
How many defendants? Defendant individuals.
Well, but
Have all of the defendants at one time or another been around you, following you?
And all of them at once?
No.
No. Yes, yes. Except for that gentleman there with the white t-shirt.
There you go.
Mr. Ayer.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for being honest.
Okay, Chair, let the witness respond to questions. Certainly, I'll give you an opportunity if you have questions, but no side comments while the questioning is going on. Thank you.
Describe for the judge what types of activities, generically, and then we'll get into the specifics of who's doing what, but what type of activities have occurred to you by the defendants?
Following along very closely at times, taunting at some times, if I was trying to talk to a citizen or someone else concerning something, interfering with that, videotaping constantly, playing loud music, walking behind me, just generally just making themselves known and heard.
And what have individual defendants said to you with regard to your job, working for the city or for the government?
That they'll get me another job. They'll get them a job and they can get me another job too.
Put it in context, Lynn. What does that mean?
That means they want me to quit my job.
How do you know that?
Why would anyone do that? Why would they chase me around all day and say disparaging things and demean me in public in front of other people? Why would they do that other than they want me to go away?
Have you ever been bumped into by any of these defendants?
There was one incident, yes, only one.
Who was that?
That was the gentleman right there. Yes.
Describe clothing.
He's sitting beside the guy with the orange t-shirt.
Could you stand up? That fellow?
Would make clear for the record that the person who stood up is not a defendant.
The record will still indicate, I think, that the witness pointed to somebody who was seated in the back of the courtroom and not one of the defendants in this matter. Okay?
Now, would you describe how that occurred?
I was just writing a ticket and I was standing in front of the meter and he came up behind to put money and he just kind of stuck his hand and he touched me in the back.
And describe that. What do you mean trying to stick money in the meter?
Your Honor, I would like to note that the lawsuit states anybody associated with Robin Hood is a defendant in the suit. Does it have to be listed?
People who are not counsel to the case or parties who are representing themselves as witnesses are not permitted to speak. The next time somebody speaks who is not either counsel or Mr. Ayer who is representing himself in this case, they're going to be asked to leave the courtroom. You may proceed, Attorney Bauer.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I do want to say that I don't think it's appropriate for counsel to have asked an individual to stand up. they're not a party to this case, on one hand, they're being asked to stand up. I mean, I think that encourages them to think that they are participating.
Let me say that that in this particular instance, it was helpful. I thought the witness might have been pointing to one of the defendants in the case, and to have it be clear that she was not in fact pointing to one of the defendants was helpful to the court.
Right. You know,
But I take your
Right,
point is well taken.
I agree with the court that it was helpful. I'm just saying that perhaps led to the belief about participation.
So I was trying to ask you about what the circumstances when you were touched or bumped into by this individual. What were the circumstances? You're talking about feeding the meter.
I was just writing a ticket and was standing in front of it, and he just reached from behind the meter to put money, because they sought for the coins in the front, and when he did, he just had contact with me and that.
Were there other defendants around you as well during that time period?
No.
I checked other defendants. She already made clear it wasn't the defendant.
Sustained.
Oh, I didn't mean the implication that.
It was the way the question was framed. It suggested that the person who actually
Yeah.
bumped in was one of the defendants.
So let's talk about the individual defendants now. I don't know whether you know them by name. Lynn,
Hey, if I could see counsel at the bench very, very briefly.
So, with regard to the named defendants, Lynn, I don't know whether you know them all by name. I don't know whether you know their full names. James Cleveland. Do you know James Cleveland by sight?
Yes.
And would you describe what Mr. Cleveland has done to you over the past several months?
Well, Mr. Cleveland has followed me around the last couple of months.
Well, when I say the last couple months, I mean from December through
well, he's followed me around. He has taunted me. He has, even if I cross the street, he crosses with me.
What am I supposed to do? I'm an actor and I don't know what to do. I didn't learn this in acting school. Am I supposed to look at the meter? I think he's famished. He's been walking around for like 2 hours now.
I got little treats just for little mouths. I got big treats for big mouths and little treats for little mouths.
You smelled it. Did that smell good?
Oh, somebody. Looks like bacon. Everybody loves bacon.
Over there?
Yeah.
No. They're little ginger, they're like, well, they're called ginger snaps, but they're little tasting. Everybody loves
See this person.